Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to Market Recap. I am Dan Hodgman. It is Tuesday, January 12th. It is the 12th additional day to 2020. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. It feels like we're still in the midst of 2020. Wild things are happening. Markets are quiet, though. We are definitely quiet. There's a lot going on around not just the world, but, the United States as well. We have a lot of things that we're keeping an eye on. Markets seem to be okay right now. U.S. right now is talking about changing up how the vaccine is distributed and allocated in favor of states that are quickly administering these shots. We're seeing some issues with New York right now. Hopefully they can get their stuff back on track. We can keep getting these vaccines out there for those that need it. I believe we're starting to also adjust it to everyone 65 and older. It's tough, right? We are trying to mass roll out a vaccine across not just this entire country, but this entire globe. And as always, there's going to be shakeups. So hopefully they're getting things ironed out here, and as many people as possible can be getting this vaccine, and we can get this world back to normal. What's normal going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now? Gosh, only knows. But I am intrigued. Stocks were interesting, right? We started to maybe that melt up was over. We saw a strong sell off here this morning, but they rebounded nicely, brought it back towards settlement price. Crude oil continues to creep higher. Currencies made a nice move here this morning, and gold opened up lower, worked its way back little higher. We got through settlement price, and Bitcoin, well, that's the one we're talking about here. That's going to be our price we're keeping an eye on all year long. We'll have some fun with that one. Bitcoin floated from $37,000 a coin down to $33,000 a coin. So heck of a range there. Still not really tradable. And that's something that came up this morning on our Coach's Playbook. If you haven't checked that one out, make sure you check it out. We talked about this concept of a melt up, something we've been seeing in the equity markets for quite some time, something we're seeing in other markets. And maybe they're not melt ups, maybe they are catapults to the upside. But Bitcoin's quite an interesting one right now. And one of the big questions we had, and I wanted to touch on that again because I think it's pretty important to talk about. A lot of people want to trade Bitcoin. Well, the future in Bitcoin is a 5 Bitcoin contract. So every one future you buy, you're really holding on to 5 contracts. And here's a prime example. If you went long one contract of Bitcoin on Friday on the open, Sunday night, a little bit after the open there, you would have been down $42,000. $42,000. It's not a tradable futures contract just yet. Big banks, people with the big pockets that are carrying massive positions, they can be a little bit more active within that because they're using it for hedging purposes. Outright trading the Bitcoin right now, just for those of us trading on a few $1,000s, maybe $10, $15, even $20,000, trading a Bitcoin contract is the kiss of death, maybe, if it goes against us. And we don't want to see that, so we'll continue to keep an eye on it if things tighten up and slow down, or maybe they bring out this concept of a mini or a micro. Maybe we'll have some opportunity within the Bitcoin. But nonetheless, Bitcoin is moving. It is fun to watch. If you want to get involved in it, go find a cryptocurrency exchange that maybe you can buy fractions of it. Put in $100 or a couple $100 and get parts of a Bitcoin, right? So there are some options out there. But yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. We'll continue to keep an eye on that one. We've got some opportunities in a lot of these markets here today, and we're going to dive into that here in just a minute. But I want to touch on just a couple things going on around the world that is worth noting. We touched on this COVID vaccine. GM skyrockets. Their shares hit a record today as they reveal this electric van. Go take a look at the pictures. It's kind of goofy looking, and it's diving into flying cars. This concept of Article 25 is continuing to be pushed by the one side, and the other side's kind of pushing against us. We'll see what happens. We're 8 days away from transition from Trump to Biden, so something it's going to be worthwhile to keep an eye on over the next week or 2 weeks, seeing what's happening. I'm hearing rumors of what could happen, maybe things that Biden's going to do the day he gets into. I have no idea. I'm not even going to spread anything, but I'm just going to say it might be worth just keeping an eye on what could happen here over the next few weeks. I want to say hello to everyone, and then we'll dive into these charts. Felix, always the first one in here. Good to see you. France, Tanya, main point. Big ideas. Today is crazy. Yeah, there's some crazy things happening, but it was opportunistic. I will say that. Alex, not for retailers. They're using the futures to manipulate the entire market. The balance of BNB to Bitcoin pair is directly inversing the March Bitcoin future. At least it was today. Good to know. What's GM's price? GM stock right now. Let's just take a quick glance. Up a little bit here today. It peaked out at 48.37. Looking like we're ending the day right a little under $48. So up 6.25% here today. So we got that going on. And let's go ahead and take a look at these charts. Sure, I apologize if I said that incorrectly. Good to see you as well. And JD, the dancing bear, is in the room. Everybody give JD a little shout out there. Also, I haven't seen anything, but I think it's all working. Like my microphone and my talking and video, everything seems to be okay, right? All right, let's go ahead, take a look at these markets and see what we had happen here today. There we go. All right, as always, we're going to start with our crude oil, which is maintaining its trend to the upside. No doubt about that. I kind of decided, I was talking about this yesterday when we were looking at, I believe, the euro. We were maintaining trend to the downside. And I wanted to show this works across every market you look at, defining channels. Now, there are channels to the upside. There's going to be channels to the downside, and then we're going to kind of find ourselves in ranges. And so we're going to take a look at a couple different ones of these today and where you can find the opportunity within these trades. This, to me, is a very simple setup and a very simple strategy. Market is trending higher, right? What's our strategy when a market is trending to the upside? Are we getting in here to go long? Absolutely not, right? If we find ourselves in the middle of a channel, that's usually the time we want to stay away from trades. We want to look for opportunities as the market checks the low side of a trend. We want to look for opportunities as it checks the high side of that channel. We can still take shorts in a trend up market. Now, obviously, if you get long on the low side, and you can stay in that trade as the market maintains trend. Well, today, we opened up this morning on the low side of the trend. And this is where opportunity is questionable, right? We have to start thinking about where can I find some opportunity in this trade here today. Crude oil settlement price, $52.25. Market opened up much higher than that, all the way up here about $52.50. So we're on the low side of our channel off the open. Are we going to see this market move towards settlement price? We're going to close the gap to settle, because that's always a trade setup we're looking at. Well, we are in an interesting area. If we go short, if we take that short down to settlement price, where are we going to place our stop? We really have to start looking way up ahead, up here by approximately $52.90, and then we're looking at 40 cents in a risk on a trade that we're trying to make 25 cents. That's a little tough for me to stomach, but if I go long, if I'm long here, off the low side of this channel, if I decide to take this market long, I can put my stop on the other side of that channel and I can manage that risk. And if I am wrong, I can go ahead and hop out of that trade pretty quickly, accept that small loss, and look to see if I can catch that move down towards settlement price or possibly even yesterday's point of control. So some great opportunities for trade here in the crude oil off the open. From there, gave us a couple weak points to hop in. But again, we're kind of in the middle of the channel. And this is something that I think is really important to talk about. A lot of times traders, when they're looking at a market like this, they're saying, yeah, we've got a weakness here, but we're really still falling inside. And they're looking to take multiple trades in a day. And that's okay in some instances. To me, when we're looking at a strategy like this, something pretty simple, cut and dry, we really don't have to look for that many chances. right? So if we go back over the last week and a half or so, we could have bought the market down here at approximately 49.61. As the market trended higher, we could have gotten out about 50.84. We're looking at $1. That's a $1,000 move. Next time the market came down to the low side of our trend, we can even think about over here or right off this open here, and we want to stay in that trade until the trends end or until the end of the day. We're looking at getting in at 50.43. And let's say we get out at the end of the day, we're going to lock in about 60 cents there. Another opportunity is presented. Each time this market presents opportunities, we don't have to take 50 trades in a week, but maybe we can find 4 or 5 trades over the week that are going to pay out relatively large. If we can see those 50 to 100 cent moves in crude oil 4 or 5 times a week, that's pretty good money. That's anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a contract that we're trading. And as we get consistent with that, and we go from one contract to 2, next thing you know, we have $4,000 to maybe even $10,000 in a week's time frame. So the point I'm trying to make here is you don't have to take 100 trades in a day to find opportunities. If you can take maybe 3 or 4 in a week that are going to lead to 50 to 100 cent moves, and they can pay out pretty nicely, we're covering our expenses, we're minimizing our costs of doing business, and we're maximizing our profits, and that's what this is all about. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500, which, like we said this morning, looked like it wanted to break. It looked like it wanted to break. Now, here's another way of looking at a channel. It's defining kind of a range that a market's traded in for quite some time. And I brought today's low down to where we broke out last week on the 7th. All right, so that would be Thursday. We had that breakout to the upside. And that's where I was starting to pay attention. That's when we changed from one range to another range. And we've stayed within this range now for quite some time. We're going on 4 trading sessions here today. So that's going to be this low side of a range I'm looking at. Market's really struggled every time it's gotten up above 3,800. So we can give a little room above that, but essentially when the market's approaching that 3,800, we're going to look for opportunity. If we're holding up above it, maybe we can look to catch a little bit of a long. But if we're struggling to get up above it, that's where we can start to look for shorts. We got pretty close this morning. We fell just shy, or right at, I should say. We got right at it, and this market broke down and it sought out the low side of this range, going all the way back to where the breakout began last week. Funny how things like that work out. It checked it, didn't like that area, and said, you know what, we're not ready to accept back into that prior range. Granted, it was a fairly small amount of trade within that range, but still a range nonetheless. Struggled, did not like that range, and it fell right back in to the last 2 days we've been trading in the same area of value. And here's what I love. Came right up to and seeked out settlement price 37.92 even. 37.92 even, and that's where this market has stalled out. And so we're going on a couple days here, which is yesterday's point of control, today's point of control. We're really starting to define maybe some fair value within this 37.90 range. So let's keep an eye on that one as this market continues to react between 37.90 and 3,800. To me, I think we're in a pivotal range. We have to either show acceptance up above, or maybe this melt up's over and a correction's on its way. Something we want to keep an eye on. Obviously, when we look at a daily chart here, haven't really had a big give up in quite some time. We're maintaining really strong trend to the upside. I'm really going to say this was the last time this market really gave up some decent upside moves. So we're going back a little over a month and a half ago. We saw a little sell-off in the middle of January or December with that big dip on the 21st, but that recovered quite quickly. So maybe this market's waiting for some sort of correction. Now, here's what I find interesting. This has been the strongest equity market of them all for the last few months. Or I should say year, maybe even longer. Now it's starting to be the weaker. Is this sending a signal? Is this telling us this equity markets are looking to spill over. Now, I'm not going to say that's what's happening, but it's catching my attention. Therefore, I'd like to share these things. Now, this morning, we opened up right at settlement price and really waved right around settlement price. This circle I have down here, this is exactly where the 20-day moving average came to. 20-day EMA and SMA. Both came down to this price. Obviously, we have up here 20 period. This is the 20-day. Both moving averages were sitting right here. Market came out really fast, ran down to that moving average, and from there accelerated right back up to, you guessed it, settlement price, which again, 12,897. 12,897. So something to always keep in mind. You guys, I've talked about a few of the things I like on my charts. I have VWAP. I've talked about that one quite a bit. And I'm not using that as any sort of indicator, but I use it as a sort of guidelines within my trading. I also use moving averages, volume profile, and that's really all I'm going to have on my charts. I try to keep it as simple as possible. So I love moving averages. This one played out nicely here today in NASDAQ. Next, let's go ahead and look at gold. Like we said, gold opened up a little bit down and really held all day long. Didn't do much until the tail end of post-lunch. New York got back from lunch and buyers came in, scooped this thing up, sent it higher, and really what I liked about it is we sat multiple times. We came down towards yesterday's value area low. Gotta love how these things just continue to come into play. We talk about them all the time. Came down to value area low. We finally got the bounce off of that, and we rallied really nicely. We checked both sides of yesterday's value area. We came right up to yesterday's value area high and just slightly through that. But we had a lot calling for our attention to see this market bounce. We had point of control, settlement price, and value area high from yesterday, all within a few dollars of each other, or a few cents of each other there. So we want to keep those areas in mind. When we have consolidation of multiple key areas, it's usually telling us something. And let's watch that. All right, last, let's go ahead and look at the currencies, and we'll get on out of here, starting with the euro. Yesterday, euro was in this beautiful channel to the downside, and we said, look, it's got to show really some acceptance above it. It finally did. 4 hours showed acceptance outside of this as well, and from there, all day long, strong rally by the euro. It's been a while since we've seen the euro move just like this. So that was good to see. Strong upside momentum. Are we changing market states? That's going to be the question. Now, I'm going to keep an eye on this channel for the time being if the market approaches to it. But at this point, this is showing acceptance and telling me other things are about to happen. So don't forget about that one. Lastly, let's go ahead and take a look at the yen, and we'll get the heck on out of here. Here's what I like. Today's move. Just like the euro, yen took off, but yen had a nice target up above. It had a prior swing high. We fell just shy of it, but darn it, we got close. And those are the things that we want to be paying attention to. Swing highs, swing lows. There's so much, right? I know I say it all the time. Oh, we want to pay attention to that. We want to pay attention to that. We want to pay attention to that. But it really is. We've got to kind of keep our magazines full of all sorts of opportunities and different trade ideas and keep those things in the plan. Don't forget about them because things continue to come into play. And that's what we had here. Market opened up. From the open, really just took off, blew right through settlement, blew through yesterday's value area high, but that's where it gave us a chance. We got through value area high, we came back, and it showed no strength on the seller side. Buyers really had the strength here, and this was an opportunity to say, all right, here, I'm going to get in. Where can I go? Well, we have two prior value area highs that hadn't been touched, points of control that hadn't been touched. We got a lot of things to look at up to the upside, and this market really accelerated right through them. All right, everybody, those are our markets here today. I hope you guys have all had a great day. Again, it's only Tuesday. Still got a long week ahead of us. Make sure all your trading, I'm going to keep stressing this for the next time, for a while, as long as I can think of. I mean, forever, really, it's important. Even if you're not a news-based trader, which I don't think many outright traders should be, because news sends confusion and emotion into the market. But nonetheless, we want to keep an eye on the news, things that are happening there. We have a lot going on in this world. It doesn't matter where you stand. The markets don't really care. Markets are going to do what markets want to do, and that's our job to just trade to those. All right, Bill, good to see you. Daryl as well. Tanya, bad tech company press. Absolutely. Twitter's struggled yesterday. I know that for a fact, and I haven't taken a look at that stock yet here today. Excuse me. There we go. Profit, we got a question here. Hi, Dan. Hi, traders. Is it normal? On trade rate brackets, the stop loss is rejected. I had to close the trade manually. Can't say... I don't know if it's... I'd be curious why it was rejected. There's so many things that can be a factor there. So I would say reach out to our support team or Tradeovate if you're just trading on Tradeovate and not with TS Trader. Reach out to them, have them take a quick glance at why that rejection was the case. That's not something that should happen unless there are other factors at play there. So... yeah, we definitely need a little bit more information to see if we can help you out there. All right, at this point, guys, well, we've got to check on our buys so far this year. We got to buy a Bitcoin, 34.51. 34.51 Bitcoin today. At the moment, we're in the money just a little bit. We bought at 34.51. And it's trading 34.59, so we got a couple bucks in that one. That's a nice to see. We were up pretty good this morning, up at 37, and then we were down when we came down to 33. So volatility through the roof. And then also the other one that we said we're going to continue to watch here this year, Airbnb. Airbnb is paying us out nicely. We got 12 bucks in that bad boy here today. $160.40. Remember, we bought that one at $148.30. Again, we're going to keep this card all year long. We're going to continue to track at how we're doing on our buys, and we'll have a little fun with it. Again, this is all for fun. It's something for us to keep an eye on all year, and it's always, if we're going to watch something, it's fun to make it interesting and have a reference point, and that's our reference point. On January 6th, we bought these products at those prices. All right, VIX. VIX was quiet here today. Spiked a little bit around lunchtime when we saw that sell-off. Got up to 25, but really recovered lower here. Now we're down about 3% on the day at 23.3. Tesla. I know I said I was done watching Tesla, but I'm not. This thing, unbelievable. Up another 4.8%, 4.7%. $850 a share. That's $40 profit here today if you bought a Tesla on the open and you sold it on the close. That's not some bad profits. Granted, you got a lot of risk in that, but also some pretty darn good profit. Now, normally we love to touch on this date in history. Really nothing worthwhile to talk about. Oh, wait, I forgot. I did have one. 1904, Henry Ford sets the land speed record of 91.3 miles an hour. I can tell you, it's amazing how much has changed. I used to have a 2001 snowmobile that would do 118 miles an hour in about 4.5 seconds. So it's amazing how technology has advanced in 100 years. Let's see. That's what we got for this date in history. Touched on news. Lastly, tomorrow, CPI 7:30 a.m. Central Time, and then crude oil number at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Now, that's going to be an important one. We know OPEC said last week they're not going to adjust output, so we'll keep an eye on that. Oil prices continue to move higher. Are they going to stay in that channel we looked at? That'll be my question. And that'll be an interesting one, Tanya. Apparently, when they told Musk he was now the richest person on Earth, he said, "Neat, back to work." You know, you love him or hate him, agree with him or disagree with him. You gotta love the guy. You gotta love the mentality. You're the richest man in the world, and all you care about is work. That's pretty good. All right, so tomorrow is hump day. We're gonna work our way through this week. Still. Quite a bit of time here this week. So just continue to take your time. Be patient. Watch your opportunities. Manage that risk. And don't forget Thursday during the recap. There won't be a recap, but we are going to have a Q&A. Myself and founder Michael Pataki are going to sit down answer as many questions as we humanly can during that time. So bring questions, anything you got. We're going to talk about our trading styles and things that are going on within the Top Step company. Obviously, we're a different color now. We went from green to black and white. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about everything you got under the sun. And I'm looking forward to it. And also on Thursday, the podcast comes out, Limit Up. And we just recorded that one today. Really enjoy it. We've kind of transitioned how we're going about the podcast. Usually Jack and I are just going to start sitting down. We're going to bring in topics that we're going to discuss and everything trading in the world, futures and Forex side. And this week's podcast, we sit down with Michael Patak as well. So it was a really fun time. We got into the weeds a little bit, had some fun, and had some laughs. And they're short, sweet, and to the point. So make sure you check them out. Let us know what you think. On that note, guys, I'm going to sign out of here. John will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. Until then, stay safe, wash your hands, trade smart, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the markets. Take care, everybody.